This podcast is brought to you by Savage Arms. They just introduced their first straight pull rifle, the Impulse. Straight pull is a pretty cool deal. It's a little bit different than a conventional bolt gun, where the bolt, instead of going up and then back, you just straight pull it back to the rear, push it forward, so it's super fast. It's popular a lot of places around the world, but the fact that Savage is doing it is pretty cool, and it also includes their AccuStock, their AccuFit, their AccuTrigger, so a lot of those features on Savage guns that you've come to know and love. It's available in a big game version, a Predator version, and a Hog Hunter version. So check it out. New gun from Savage, savagearms.com. It's the Savage Arms Impulse. Also, this podcast is brought to you by Gundealio, gundealio.com, and the smartphone app Gundealio. Download the smartphone app, free for your phone. You'll get notifications about deals on guns, ammo, and then also podcast stuff, video stuff. So a lot of good content there, but also deals to be had. And also we can send you messages when you walk into a gun store, give you a heads up about new products or deals going on. And then gundealio.com, it's kind of the sister site for it, and another place where you can find ammo in stock and deals galore. So check that out.
All right, welcome into a new year, Gun Talk Nation. This is 2021, and I am so happy to be here. I'm sitting alongside a very good friend and a neighbor. He's right down the road at Lipsey's, Mr. Jason Cloessner. How you doing?
Doing good, man. It's good to see you.
That's good to see you. New year, we're going to be talking gun stories, gun shop stories, more importantly, because you've got to have a million stories.
2020 has definitely added to the list of good ones.
So 2020, did you hear more good gun shop stories than ever?
Well, there's been so many first-time gun buyers this last year. A lot of the questions and it's been pretty interesting. Yeah.
I can't imagine. Ryan is not on the air today. I stepped in here because honestly, I kind of just wanted to talk to Jason, but Ryan was telling me a story that you know of someone who asked about where to put the gas in a gas gun. Yeah.
A customer bought a gas operated shotgun. He brought it home, was reading the owner's manual, and just was really befuddled because he brought it back to the gun shop and asked the owner, he looked all over this and could not figure out where to put the gas in this gun.
Oh my gosh.
And the guy, dealer was
tell
like,
him bring it back.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We just go back from set. You guys start from zero here.
No way.
Yeah. So it's been a few
little stories like that.
Yeah,
it just doesn't give me a whole lot of hope for our future as gun owners.
A lot of backwards loaded magazines.
Oh gosh, I can't imagine. But it also allows us to sit there and stop and go, okay, not everybody is going to know everything, and we got to take it upon ourselves.
Well, I look at myself. I was like, I probably go into the computer store and they're probably telling computer store stories about me. It's like the guy didn't know to do this. So. We're all guilty of it.
He does the old, you just had to restart it.
Yeah, you just had to press on,
or plug it in. That's my guilty as charged, because that happened to me more than once.
Right.
Or I go to have my engine checked, and I'm not a car guy. Jason, if you are, I apologize, but I am not.
As long as it's 4-wheel drive, that's all I care.
Yeah, and here's the deal: there are people who go to school to do this thing.
Oh yeah.
And they need work too, right?
Yep.
So, all right. So gun stories. We're going to also talk trends. Trends of what can we expect from gun manufacturers in 2021 and where that's all headed. But I kind of want to keep down this line of gun shop stories. I want to hear some more good ones. We need a good laugh to get the new year started. So what else you got for us?
Well, it's funny. The dealers, their patience has been tested a lot this year. The struggle with getting inventory, especially ammunition, has been tough. That's been a big one. The countless stories of people buying the wrong ammo for the wrong gun. And, when you think about it, even for people in our business, it can be really confusing on what works and what,
Yep.
you know, and, 38, 357, all the different 32s you have, 300. I mean, look at all the different 300 Magnums we have.
Oh yeah. That's a good point.
Had the guy who didn't want the 300 short mag because it didn't shoot as far as the regular 300 mag because it was short, that kind of stuff, it's just, it keeps going.
Oh my gosh. I just can't, I don't know. And I've got to put myself in their shoes because they're just learning this just as we are.
Yeah.
And we were there one time too.
Yeah. Well, our industry has been pretty willy-nilly with how they name stuff, and so
That is true.
it can be really confusing if you're not up to speed on a lot of this. So
you're telling me a Glock 45 is not really a 45?
Yeah, and a Glock 22 is not a 22.
And wait, so a Glock 44 is not a 44?
Right.
I don't know why they're so confused.
Exactly.
Exactly. What are we dealing with here? Oh my gosh. Yeah, we were, you know what? We were talking a little bit about ammo because I know that's where everybody is kind of like, they're settling right now. They're going, is this ever going to come down? Is it ever going to stop? And I was just, over in Mississippi, and the guy was like, I don't have enough 270. I can't find 270. And I'm like, that's a cartridge that you wouldn't ever think.
Yeah. Well, that was always the joke back in the day. It's like, well, a guy has a 30-06 doesn't worry about ammo shortages because there's always 30-06. Well, not this year. I mean, I cannot tell you how many friends and guys I hunt with have texted or called and said, hey man, I want to go sight in this weekend, but I don't have any of this or that. And there is none. I mean, it's really unbelievable. The amount of hunting guns that we've sold this year and industry has sold has been huge. And I think a lot of it is because people, fall sports, kids sports got shut down. People, they didn't take their LSU Tiger football tickets this year or whatever else. So they're going hunting.
Did you just call Ryan Gresham out on that? Is that who you were targeting with that comment?
It was a good year to give them up, let me tell you.
I don't know. They had a good solid win against the team down further south. Well, I mean, there is that.
There's hope.
There's hope out there. But we are talking to Jason Cloessner of Lipsey's, and Jason, give us a little idea, because we're talking these gun shop stories, and a lot of folks, they've heard the name Lipsey's, but they don't exactly know what you guys do.
Yeah, well, we're a firearms distributor. So what a lot of people probably don't realize is that most gun manufacturers don't just sell guns directly to the retail stores. They go through distribution, and we're one of about 30 different distributors are out there. There's about 12, 15 distributors that really do the majority of the business. And, but we distribute guns to gun stores, all across the country. The days of the little regional distributor are pretty much over. Everybody's pretty much national now.
Right.
And, so we carry about 80 different lines of firearms that we then in turn sell to the dealers. Obviously this year it's been a struggle.
You've been clawing and scratching.
Yeah. I mean, the warehouse shelves have been pretty empty, and, it's funny though, things that would normally never really be hot items have been just blowing off the shelf.
So give me an example of that. If someone really didn't have a desire for, and now all of a sudden it's
the funny one is
40
caliber pistols.
Oh, I knew it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I knew it.
Well, when things really started getting tight, in about April, May, when things really started tightening up, 40 caliber ammo was still pretty available, and we had lots of 40 caliber pistols, and they went quick, and those were actually at times were a little more desirable than 9s just because the ammunition was available. 357 SIGs were another one, 38 Supers. I mean, but it's what you had ammo for.
Yeah.
And hunting guns. We were selling bolt action hunting rifles in the dead of summer when you just don't normally sell those.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny. It's a lot of the calibers that had maybe gotten a little stale, like 270, 243, even 30-06. They weren't as sexy as the new PRCs or the Creedmoors and everything else. Really took a jump back up in popularity because that ammo was really available.
And now it's not.
It's gone.
And that's because I'm glad people are out there buying. I'm sure it does business good, but not having it available.
It makes you a little
frustrating.
It's frustrating because there's some really cool new cartridges that came out this year that you wonder, how are they going to be able to make the cusp now?
Right.
Because manufacturers aren't eager to really chamber something brand new because they can't get ammo for it. And then there's nobody has backstocks of ammo. So, a 30-06 or a 308 is pretty safe because you can probably have some from the past. But if one of the newer cartridges might be a little bit tougher.
You're really bringing this whole lively 2021 vibe that I was trying to go for kind of down with our ammo talk. But one of my favorite things that Lipsey's does is exclusives. And guys have heard us talk about it here on Gun Talk. They've heard Tom Gresham talk about it. What has been your all-time favorite that has come through the doors?
Well, that's a tough one. It's like picking your favorite kid.
I know, but you have a big hand in this.
Well, yes, that's basically what I do, and which I know is a great way to make a living. Talk about guns all day.
Let's think of what I can come up with that'll sell a lot of.
But it's been. I would say, my passion, where I really love, is a lot of the revolver stuff, the cool, the single shot like Ruger #1s and stuff like that. But I would say probably my favorite project, and probably will end up probably being one of our probably flagship project, was that Glock P80 project we just did.
I was wondering if you were going to go there, and that it's a great topic because I saw one yesterday in a shop, walked in, and I was picking up a gun. It sold when I was there.
Yeah.
And that's cool to see, and they are flying off the shelf.
Yeah, that was just a big one. I mean, it took a while to get it done, but it was the fact that we were able to do the way we did and really keep it as retro as possible, and do it with Glock. I mean, all of our Glock exclusives have always been super popular because Glock hasn't offered a lot of variety.
Right.
And it's such a popular brand, but for good reason. They're fantastic guns. But when you do something that's unique with those guys, people take notice because it doesn't happen often. And so just the way that we were able to get it done and promote it and actually have it in 2020, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah, that's a whole other story.
I'm really, really proud of that one. I think it's a cool one. It's one that I think people, down the road, the guys who have them will be pretty glad they got
I think they're going to appreciate the ability to get their hands on them because it was a limited run.
Well, yeah, we did
initially.
Yeah, we did 10,000 of them, which we've gotten all and sold them all really quick. Obviously we'd love to do another run, but just like everything right now, getting any kind of special non-catalog gun done is tough because these manufacturers are tapped out with their production. And to go change it up, to go make a special run and take it away from something they already have sold, it's kind of a big ask.
It's just a tough time. And is this our new norm? I guess that's the question that everybody's kind of asking. But
I think it will be for a little while. I think that it's kind of a twofold. The unprecedented demand obviously has taxed the system, so to say, but also too, with the issues with COVID and everything else, that has also caused us the supply side to be more challenging, where, you have staff that's maybe out or have to quarantine, or you've got certain product lines that have to be dispersed and people shifted to other areas. It's made it challenging on the production side too. So I think if that side of the equation rectifies itself and we can get past all that, I think the production side will be able to pick back up,
right,
and help some of this, supply.
And I kind of look at it as like a new highway being built. So during the construction phases, you do everything you can to avoid that area.
Yep.
Like you'll go through it if you got to, but once that opens up, now all the influx of people come in there and you're left with more traffic.
Right.
And so we're just doing that. We're bottlenecking everybody in.
I mean, industry is saying we've got about 7 million first-time gun buyers this year. I mean, that's a huge number.
Right.
And, and obviously we know 7 million people aren't going to become avid, shooters and everything else. We hope they do. But, but even if 10% of that, sticks with it. That's a lot.
That's a hefty number.
That's a hefty number.
Well, and you look at it and kind of tying everything back into kind of our initial gun shop stories is that we're going to see a lot of that. If you work at one of these gun shops, if you work in the firearms industry, you're going to hear a lot of this. And the best thing you can do is not laugh it off. We can laugh about it here, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
But the most important thing to do is just try to educate and be a good mentor.
It is. And I think a lot of gun stores have done that. They've realized that, this person, to make the plunge, who maybe was just not only not interested in guns, but maybe even anti-gun.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that. And to actually, to take that step and walk into their store and them to have a service, they realize it's a great opportunity.
Right.
And, an industry's really stepped out. I know some of the manufacturers have really done a big push and spent a lot of money, marketing to these new consumers and try to have them a great, first, impression of the gun industry, and not what the news media has tried to portray it to be.
Right. And that's just one of those things. And so this year, 2021, marks the first time that I remember SHOT Show being canceled.
Yep.
So no SHOT Show. That doesn't mean gun manufacturers, optics, ammo. That means that they don't stop making new stuff.
Right.
Let's talk about trends and where we're going as an industry.
Well, it's funny. 2020 was headed already to be a big year before the craze, and the trends then were smaller and lighter. I think that's just kind of where, I remember 10 years ago, everything was, AR-15s were, 10 pounds by the time you got it done.
Yep.
And now everything is like carbon fiber. The big hot thing the last 2 years in rifles has been carbon fiber wrap barrels.
See, you stole all my thunder. That's exactly what I was going to say. You took it right.
We didn't talk about this before.
No, we didn't. And I was holding back. I was like, oh, I got an ace in the hole. Here comes Jason. Just
no, you're right though. It's about lighter weight. It's about accuracy. It's funny, now one MOA accuracy is kind of looked at as pretty mediocre.
Yeah.
It really,
and that's kind of unfortunate.
It really is, because people, they get a gun, it shoots 0.8 inch. And they're like disappointed all of a sudden. And I'm like, man, you realize like 10 years ago,
like,
you paid
man, your
big money
standards have gone way
It has,
up.
but but the guns themselves, the ammunition, the optics, it's just gotten that much better.
Is it a matter of we're getting smarter people in there, or is our technology grown so much that we're able to refine our techniques?
I think a little bit of both. I think one thing too is that, a lot of these newer rifles that have been developed started with a clean sheet of paper. Yeah. They were not a slave to the Mauser 98 design.
Thank goodness.
Which is
I mean,
hey,
it's good.
there's nothing wrong with it. Those guns were made for the military in 1890 whatever.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like that. They weren't thinking about shooting a 1/2-inch group when they were developing these guns.
It was more minute of man.
Exactly. That's what they were for. And so optics weren't even an option back then. So the guns that are built now, when these actions, they're built with accuracy in mind, with ease of manufacturing in mind. And so with all these things put together, you can now get a $500 rifle that'll shoot 1/2 inch.
Which that to me alone is crazy to think about, because, one of the companies that I remember doing a lot of that is Thompson Center. And they were, their barrels were made in-house. It had the 5R rifling. That was the big thing. And if you were getting a 1 MOA group, you were really, really happy. And now you're right. Guys look on that and they go, well, it's all right. It shoots okay.
It's okay, but it's not. Yeah, it's not brag worthy on Facebook.
Why not, man?
I know. And look, and anybody, and I think too, there's been more of an interest in long range shooting, and I think those guys, if you're out there shooting steel at 1,000 yards, a half MOA gun versus an MOA gun is a huge difference. So
absolutely.
But for guys like you and I who are primary hunters,
right?
And we both know that honestly, an 1.5 inch gun is going to do everything that we want to do, especially hunting down here.
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't get as hooked up about it, but it is cool though to know that those guns are capable.
Well, and then you talk about they're also lightweight, because used to, if you had a gun that shot as good as a lot of these guns are shooting, Springfield Armory Waypoint being one of them.
Yep.
If you're talking about that, you're talking about a 15-pound gun.
Yep.
At least.
And
now it's a carbon fiber stock. It's carbon fiber wrap barrel. The bottom metals, some
titanium,
kind of titanium, aluminium, alien metal. And
I've got a carbon fiber wrapped 6.5 PRC that I put a proof stock on. 5 pounds.
5 pounds?
5 pounds without scope.
See, before this all hit, and I've talked about it before I had this envisioned, and I built a rifle that I thought I don't think they can get as light a weight and maintain as good a group as this. And it was like 8 pounds.
Yep.
And now that's considered heavy.
It's heavy. It's heavy. It's everything is going to that. I mean, and that's kind of one thing I've told some, because look, the manufacturers, a lot of times, they know what goes on in their four walls, but they're not necessarily always in tune with what's going on everywhere. And some of these manufacturers were like, hey, why are our hunting rifles, why are they not trending right now? And I said, because you're a pound too heavy. If you're over 7 pounds bare,
you're right.
You're considered a heavy You're considered a 10-pound rifle was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So you really have to be in the 6s, and if you really want to be edgy, you almost have to be in the high 5s.
Yep.
To really to get noticed.
To make some movement. I do agree with that. Well, on the pistol side, where are we going? Because last year in 2020, I mean, a red dot on everything. So tell me I'm not crazy. But if a manufacturer comes out with a gun that doesn't have a red dot option on it, and sell it with a red dot, they're behind their times.
I think you're right. It would be the equivalent of coming out with an AR-15 with a permanent carry handle
or a quad rail.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much it has to be set up to be able to use an optic. Now we can all pray that the optics manufacturers will get together and come up with the same footprint, so we can get rid of plates and everything else. That would be that would
that's too easy.
That would be way too easy,
Jason. That's too easy.
I know.
I mean, come on.
It's a big ask.
Yeah,
but but yes, it's optics on handguns it's not going anywhere. The optics are just getting better. They're getting smaller. The battery life is getting better. I don't think that's going to change.
That the whole battery life thing shocks me because one, maybe they're testing them. But how are you getting 3.5 years, 4 years out of a battery?
Yeah.
When in my remote at the house won't last a month. Like, how is this possible?
You're watching too much TV. That's probably.
I know. No, it's my kids. That's what it is. It's my kids. I blame them.
Yeah. Well.
But I don't know. So what's the trend? What's the trends in pistols? And you can't say red dots.
Well, I would say more capacity, smaller footprint.
Yeah.
I mean, SIG really. I think they were, in 2019, they really, you don't want to say game changer. That's the most overused term.
It is. But
however, they really did change the game. I think you will see more people adopt, it really put a kink in the single stack, small 9mm pistols. Now, 2020 saved them because people will take anything they can get.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But they were really trending down. And the little double stack, 1 inch wide, small 9mm really were taking that over. And I think you will see more of that come, I think, to compete.
Yeah.
And I think you'll see more capacity. It'll be interesting to see how cartridge development goes in 2021. I think that will be stymied a little bit just because they won't be able to supply it. So I think it will be a push. I think you'll see a fall back to more standard cartridges.
I would second that. I don't think there's going to be as big a push. They're not going to be as eager to.
Right.
I guess.
I think you'll see a rejuvenation in 308. I think you'll see a rejuvenation in 06.
I think 380 is going to make I think that'll come out.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, pocket pistols. And the other one is, I think you're going to see a resurgence in revolvers. We were already starting to see that, mainly because a lot of the guys who got in 5-6 years ago gotten bored with their striker pistols, their ARs, and the revolver sales have gone up quite a bit. A lot of the first-time gun buyers were a little more comfortable with revolvers, so you're seeing a lot more of that. And I think you might see a renewed interest in reloading. Nobody likes to chase brass around.
And I was wondering, I was going to ask you kind of the accessories and all the other stuff. What are we going to see? And I was, again, there goes Jason Cloessner stealing my thunder. He goes into, reloading. That is a hot ticket item right now.
It is. And I think people will I think that's going to, now obviously right now primers and everything are really tough to get, but that'll, eventually that's going to ease out. And when it does, I think there'll be a renewed interest in it. And I really do think revolvers are going to uptick.
I think so. Cause I already know of a couple launches that I'm excited about. I can't say them yet, but just stay tuned. It's going to be great. Jason, thank you so much for joining us here on Gun Talk Nation. You guys be safe out there. Welcome to a new year, a new hopeful year. We got to keep up the fight. We got to keep going, keep driving forward. But as always, this is KJ with Gun Talk Nation.